Gary, how are you? Good morning.
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good to finally have you on this interview. So, where to start? Where to start? I guess I want the inception, man. What got you into the sport?
Okay, so long story short, Shannon Briggs ran into me after his Klitschko fight, his first retirement, and he wanted me to help him market a product. I was in the internet marketing business, still am, and we got in the gym together. We started working out together. I started training with the coach Herman Casedo. I got into the sport every morning at 8 in the morning. I was training, learning the game, learning the craft. And then that led into fighters, and next thing you know, I had Johan Guzman and we had shows on, Telemundo and that kind of stuff. And after a while, that kind of led to being blocked. And I just decided, what, let me go to Mike Tyson and see if he wants to be my partner. Maybe he'll join forces with me and we'll open up doors at Showtime and HBO. That worked to a degree. We had a good run. Um, and we're doing
I
quite a
mean,
bit
you
of stuff.
signed you signed Erickson Lubin at 15, 18,
Lubin,
18.
18. The day he turned 18. Um, Sammy Vasquez Jr., we had champions in Payano and Mendez, Felix Diaz, a gold medalist. We had quite a stable. A bunch of guys ranked in the top five. But then one day I got a call from Fox, um, Showtime, and ESPN and Spike all the same day saying, hey, we're not going to be able to do business with you anymore. Essentially what happened was Waddell and Reed and PBC, Al Heyman got together and they bought out all the TV time. They bought it. Normally they pay us. Now they were paying them. So that's a radical move. We had no more TV time. I called Mike. I said, Mike, we've got 10 guys in the top five and we don't have TV for them. So he said, all right, like I said, I don't want to be in this business if that's what can happen. So if TV has that little regard for the industry of boxing and would do such a thing, let's get out of here and and he said, what are you going to do with the fighters? I said, I'll bring them to Heyman. Follow the money. Let them prosper over at Heyman's. And we took 12 fighters on one day to Al Heyman's side of the fence and let them operate there, and they all did very well. So from that point on, I sat down and I watched, and I knew that if I was ever going to get back into this nest, it was going to be not as a promoter. I wanted to get back into it as a TV network. I wanted to compete with them because they had such little regard for boxing. I think boxing's already always been at the back of the bus because of the networks, and that it could be done better. So that's where I sat down and sort of planned, and I watched the sports streaming technology evolve. And when the time was right, I set up Probox TV, designed to be your boxing channel, like the golf channel and the tennis channel. That's the programming slate, which isn't done in boxing, but so what? And slowly but surely, I will develop this brand and take it up the ladder and hopefully make the sport better.
And I think that you're already doing that in such a short amount of time. Are you guys working on your third year now?
Yeah, we just finished year two. If you think that our first event was May of 2022 with Jean Pascal and Fenlong Meng, we're just embarking on our third year. And, we've developed the fight series, I think, nicely. I think most people may not understand it. All we did is say, look, let's go after all the fighters that didn't make the Zone's platform or ESPN's platform at the time, Showtime. Let's go after those fighters, the best of the rest, and bring them over here, but with two exceptions. One, if they're runners holders, they don't throw a lot of punches, they're not welcome. And that's just because we know that if you guys don't know who these people are, I better give you a fan friendly, action packed fight. Number one. Number two, they had to fight each other. They're not getting any cupcakes. We're not promoting them to make the fans think they're King Kong and get them to a championship. They're not my fighters. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I care that the fans get a great fight. That's my mandate that night. So I can't care about who wins. So I go get these guys and I say, you're going to fight each other. And this is how you earn your way back to those platforms. And Hot Rod's fighting on August 3rd in LA. He's fighting Morrell. It worked for him. Angelo Leo is fighting August 10th against Lopez on Top Rank for a championship. It worked
In
for him.
Albuquerque, though, that's something we got to touch on. How'd you guys do that? Because you're saying Angelo Leo's fight, but he is a pro box fighter. And essentially, he's getting a title shot in his hometown on Top Rank. So that's another conversation I would love to have.
Well, and I can make it really simple for you because Top Rank understands we're not a promoter. We're a TV network, and we work with everybody. We should. It's what's best for the sport. So if they want to go into Albuquerque and Angelo Leo's from Albuquerque and they want to use him, they're free to use him. I only own Angelo Leo's TV rights, and I can assign them at any time to Top Rank and ESPN. And I will because it's what's best for Angelo. I wanted to get Angelo a shot at a title. I'm not going to freeze him over at ProBoxTV. We're not there yet. We will be one day, but not now. So do what's right. That's going to be a hell of a fight. So I promised all those fighters that I won't stand in their way, that I'm just a springboard at this time to getting them in bigger and better fights. And it's been working.
How many years does your plan, like how many years is left on the plan in terms of expansion?
I would say we're on track. The first thing was to build a product. And some people ask how these guys making money. It's like, okay, well, when you see a skyscraper going up, you think they're making money? That's business works in a way where first you're going to have to build your product and you're not going to generate revenue. But don't compromise your product to try to generate revenue. Build a good product. That's what phase we're in now. The second phase is build an audience. And then once you've got a product and an audience, and those two things have matured to a level, now you can go monetize your audience. We're getting there. We've now got 1.7 million unique frequent viewers on YouTube. We've got 1.5 million unique viewers on Boxing Scene. I'm sure there's a little overlap, so I wouldn't add them together completely. We're growing. We're on Fubo. We're on Amazon Prime for free. We're expanding all that reach. I think our reach is expanding rapidly to the point where now, Ness, probably starting next year, I'm going to put a deck out and we're going to see some real ad revenue. And I did promise the fans that I'm going to try to make it free. You can't make it free by charging subscription right away. You have to build the audience and then bring it to the advertisers and say, okay, how much is this worth? Once you start seeing that, then you can tell, hey, am I going to be able to go to championship boxing and keep this free? Or at the 11th hour, do I have to go back to the fans and say, okay, look, I tried the best I could. The advertisers are paying for a lot of it. But if we want to do championship boxing, we want to do $3 million cards here, you guys are going to have to chip in. But at least it'll be nominal if it's not free. So in order to do what I'm doing, it's steps. And I'm the turtle. I'm not the rabbit, right? Jay-Z and 50 Cent and Triller and BLK, those were rabbits. I'm the turtle. Go slow, steady. Take your time, do it right. And I think we've done a good job at building a solid platform, and people appreciate our fight series. But our fight series is going to slowly go to contender and then championship. People appreciate the news and the talk shows and us beating the drum like you do it, and it's important for the sport. If you're not beating the drum and you're not talking about the sport can't thrive. So I'm sort of hitting on all angles and fan engagement with news and talk show and doing it at a more sophisticated level, I think. And then a fight series that's predicated on evenly matched action fights. And I will do that at the contender level and the championship level.
Now, we had an earlier conversation, I think last year, where there was a plan to keep it free on YouTube based off the ad revenue and the viewership. You believe if you can get a certain amount of views, you might not have to charge the fan. I've been watching the fight series grow in viewership. Obviously, it's not doing 1 million views per fight yet. But do you believe that that model can still work?
Yeah. I think eventually we pull it off of YouTube and we get them to install the app. But the app, we were building out the technology to inject ads. So that's why I left it on YouTube for an extended period of time. But the app right now is free as well, and it's got a better resolution, everything. I'm just finishing out putting live chat technology on it so that when the YouTube people that come over and they really appreciate the live chat side of it, they have the same feature. So I'm not going to force the YouTube people over until they've got everything just right at on the Probox TV app. But that's going to happen soon. And really, the reason is because I can inject ads and make more revenue. There's limitations, as you guys know, with YouTube monetization. So it'll never be able to maintain free on YouTube. But as far as building a brand and a marketing in year 1 and 2, it's been great. There's been a lot of exposure from YouTube.
So you talked about Hot Rod. That was another big opportunity for him. He's getting a huge opportunity with Morrell on the card with Terrence Crawford and Turki Alalshik. But you got him the Sullivan Barrera fight, and many others before that. Shout out to Ryan Rickey as well, because we've watched him just be this contender. I've been following him since he fought live in the Barclays Center. I thought he beat Marcus Brown, and he didn't get that win. But here we are, and he gets this massive opportunity. And Probox has helped him and many other fighters get to that level. I don't know. How does that make you feel? Are you proud that the product is working in a way not only for yourself but for the fighters? They're starting to see the springboard, conversation that you're giving them.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Anytime you plan to do something that's different than what everyone else is doing and it plays out, it's a great feeling, right? That's one of the business, the intoxicating things in business that you get. You're doing it with the boxing voice. So yeah, that's it's great to see for the fighters. It's great to see for my credibility with the fighters. So it's bringing us a lot more fighters now. We're slammed with very high quality fighters that want to fight on Probox TV. Things like that lead to the Lamont Roach fight this weekend and championship fight. That's all been part of the credibility. And by the way, I believe today it'll be signed. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it. Hopefully, Louis doesn't get mad at me. But McCumby is going to be fighting Caleb Plant, I believe, August 17th.
Trevor McCumby. Bro, I've been talking that guy up. I wanted him to get the Berlanga fight in Orlando.
Right.
I think Berlanga should have went immediately into Trevor McCumby after this, whoever he fought. I was at that other one in Orlando, but yeah, I was there for the Trevor fight in your event. I told people he has a decent little fan base. I can see him getting a big fight with Caleb Plant now and selling a lot more tickets. And he looks the part. He looks the part. Oh my God, my audience is gonna laugh because I'm always bringing up Trevor for Berlanga. That's insane. I love that. Wow, Plant. Wait a minute, because oh my God, I'm trying to remember. Someone just said Plant turned down an offer. That's strange. Turned down an offer to fight Trevor McCumby. Wow.
Yeah, so it's been talked about in social media. It's been buzzing around a little bit, but I think we just got it done last night. Some paperwork was sent out. So
that's
I
awesome.
think it'll be official by the end of the day. And which is great. So that makes us August 3rd. We're in LA with Hot Rod. August 10th, we're in New Mexico, right in Albuquerque with Angelo Leo. And August 17th, I'm not sure where, but we're with McCumby and against Plant. So good little run.
Nice. But I do want to talk about the expansion. I mean, Probox left the nest, and now you're going all the way to the DMV. And I've also noticed that your, production truck is the one that's sending the signal to the zone for the MVP and Box Lab shows. So, yeah, I wanted to know about that. That's impressive.
Yeah, apparently, people think we do a good job with production, and we do it efficiently, and we're reliable. So that's how that MVP business came about with the zone. And there's been more discussions about us doing television production for others. So that's nice to see. The DC thing is about taking the circus on the road, man. Like let's test this out. In boxing, just because you can make a fight doesn't mean you should do it. It's operationally intense to run a boxing television network. So this is my way of testing our chops at going to a city, going into an arena, rolling our trucks in, rolling our production team, putting our teams on the road, and executing and doing a good job with it. So I'm the kind of guy that the Turtle's going to test and make sure we get it right before we step to it in an aggressive way. So that's what this is. That's a little sign of the future, is us taking on a little championship fight and testing our chops at running a major league production with it.
I'm not gonna lie. Like when I first, found out about Probox and I'm checking everything out, I never thought that truck could make it to DMV. And I'm not saying it looks bad. It looks, for all I know, it's brand new. But I'm just thinking as a businessman, there's no way Garry went and bought a brand new television production truck. Evidently, that truck must be pretty new. That's like very far, right? And then I heard rumors you guys might have went to Houston. There was a possibility of a situation that could have happened in Houston. And I'm like, okay. Again, just impressed, very impressed, man, because you're set up for success. We just need the boxing fans to get behind you, evidently. You're doing right by us, especially in a time where we've lost Boxing After Dark. We've lost Friday night fights. We don't have Showbox, and in enters Probox, and I'm certainly loving what you guys are doing, and the fact that you work with so many people. I love seeing Samson there and Bo Mac there, and it's growing. It really is growing, My hope for you, though, is a bigger venue. I know you guys, I mean, the same thing you have going on, just a bigger compound, but venue, though, because it's only 800 right now. And I know it'll get there when it gets there. When it's necessary, I'm sure you'll make that move. But that's always been my dream. I've been speaking that into the universe. I feel like what you have, we don't have. And the only thing like it is the UFC, right, in terms of their facility down the street. And if you can only get a bigger compound, you can potentially be that. Like boxing doesn't have a one-stop shop. You're housing fighters. They're training there. They turn around and fight there. You're giving some of them jobs. I mean, it's just it's a good look, man. It's a good look, and I hope that people get behind you. Are you opening up to investors, or are you just looking strictly for ad revenue and keep it in-house? I mean, have people approached you? Because from the outside looking in, it looks like, it is working.
Yes. So yes, we've been approached, and we are going to step to it. When we step to championship boxing, that's going to be in a financial investment that is going to surpass me, right? I'm comfortable with what we're doing now. I could run what we're doing now forever. But there'll come a point where I'm going to step to championship boxing where that's going to require institutional money. And we have a lot of interest, a lot. And Ness, what I did was bootstrap this, right, with my own money to a point, knowing that if I did that, I'd have a much better chance of getting institutional money because they respect the fact that I did the hard part on my own. So sometimes in business, that's what you have to do. You have to find a way to do it yourself, get it to a point, get that level of respect, credibility, numbers are there, followers are there. Then you can go to institutional money with that, and it makes it a lot easier to raise the money. So, no, I think we're going to get funded. I think somebody's going to give me a bag. Yeah, somebody's going to give me a stack. And they're going to say, go sit at that table.
I'm
See
glad
that
you
table
said
over there that's
somebody.
roped? Hold on. See that table over there that's roped off? That's Turki Alalshik and the Russian oligarch Blavatnik and Bob and Al and all those guys are going to say, here, take this stack and go sit at that table and fuck them up.
Well, damn, I didn't expect that, because I was gonna say my next question was, has Alalshik reached out? I mean, again, he seems so interested in helping the growth of the sport that I would hope that he would want to invest, because you're grassroots. Again, I know you want to get into championships, so maybe that becomes a conflict of interest when you cross that bridge. But right now, you know, you are the boxing after dark, the Friday night fights, the show box, and occasionally, you know, you got a championship fight on those networks if possible, or a special occasion. But yeah, I think that, you know, the consistency in keeping those fighters underneath contenders and prospects, you know, rather underneath contenders, keeping those prospects busy is what turns them into tomorrow's stars. And having your platform is allowing a lot of these guys, like Najee Lopez, we love him. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing his thing. I believe his last fight was a great step up with my dude from Delray. I can't remember his name, but I know he's always wanted the Benavidez fight. Yeah, that guy's a tough, durable fighter. Najee did good to be somewhere under 10 fights. So, again, you know, I know everybody wants to grow, and championship boxing is probably your end goal, but we still need that developmental series, you know. Hardcores especially, you know, we turn up for those developmental fights. We want to see a guy, you know, tested, and that's what Probox is doing, which Showbox really wouldn't do. They wanted to build the next champion, and Boxing After Dark, you know, they were just giving whatever promoter they had to deal with is like, hey, you know, put your guys on there, but we weren't getting this level of matchup, so we don't want you to lose, you know, what you started.
Well, look, I appreciate everything. You've been a big support, and we appreciate you guys very much. You know, back to what you said about, you know, Turki Alalshik. No, they haven't reached out. They've reached out to my employees. They've reached out to my writers. They've reached out to my commentators. Hasn't reached out to me. And you know what? I take that as a compliment. I do, because I think he realizes that I'm not gonna bend the knee. I'm gonna do what I'm doing, right? And I'm my guy, and he's his guy, and he's gonna do what he does. And I don't knock what he's doing. I think some things I could knock, but for a guy who's a rookie, he's trying. He's throwing around a lot of money. His fights are on a network that's expensive, man. And he's throwing out these fights, but there's like $85 fights pay-per-view. I don't know if that's really going to develop the sport. You know, he took a heavyweight classic fight and he put it in a Tesla. I mean, people have to understand crowd noise and crowd energy breathes life into a fight, into a TV production. If that fight was in the UK or that was in the US, that fight would have been wild. And he put that.
You talking Usyk Fury?
Yeah. He put that in a place you could hear a pin drop.
No, I guess that we are, you know, we're just going to always look at it differently. You're looking at it as a television network, and I'm looking at the fight. The fight, regardless of where it was at, it played out
100%.
well, and it'll live forever because he beat Fury. A lot of people didn't expect that, and the way that he beat Fury.
I'm thinking about it as the next nest. I have to pay attention to the business. If the business prospers, you get what you want. So from a business perspective, that's where you earn new fans, right? Is in big moments. And new fans end up watching because their buddies watching and they're watching and they're going, oh, hey, this is boxing. And that crowd wasn't roaring. That crowd was quiet as a mouse. So us who are into it, we could appreciate the fight without the noise and the energy in the building. But new fans, to convert them to boxing, they should have seen that thing in all its glory. And that would have been wild if it was in Vegas or it was in Wembley Stadium. That would have been wild. And it lost that. So all I'm saying is, as a businessman, I have to consider the growth of the sport. That fight needs to be put on at the right time and the right place to really give the full essence of what boxing can be. And so my advice to him is, don't do it in Saudi Arabia anymore. That's not the point. Bring the sport to where the energy is and people really appreciate it. And more fans will tune in on TV and go, wow, everybody really loves this stuff. This must be something here. And I know it sounds trivial, but that's how you grow your sport. So,
But you
I
guys
can
have two different objectives, though. His end goal is obviously to bring tourism to his country and make Saudi Arabia the new Las Vegas. So, you know, the atmosphere that's lacking is because we haven't traveled there yet, you know, as a public or a boxing public.
I agree. I think one or two things may be true. That could be an excuse so he could have some fun, the same way he did with golf, and the same thing he's doing with soccer. There's a lot of ways to build a tourist industry. There's been a lot of very successful tourist countries. They didn't do it by trying to control, dominate, or spend lavish money on a sport that, you know, he could have spent that money just flying people to Saudi and giving them a free trip in a hotel and expose them to Riyadh. And if it is a great place, it'll sell itself. If it's not a great place, you'll be one and done. So call me a skeptic. I'm not convinced that that's an excuse to indulge.
So, what do you think about him coming to LA? And you don't sound like, how'd you even do business with him? Because you obviously got hot right. You don't sound like you know, like you want to have a cup of coffee with him.
No, I would. I mean, look, again, all things in good time. You know, and I'm a businessman. It doesn't all have to be one way or the other. We've been very complimentary of him on our show. I'm just calling balls and strikes. There are good things that he's doing, and there are not good things that he's doing. And I'm not going to be so trusting till I see it play out. In the meantime, I'll go run my race and do what I do. And he's not hurting us. He's good for the sport. If he's going to go out and he's going to spend his money to promote Riyadh, let's say that's true, and he's going to spend his money and make the biggest fights, so he's like putting a cherry on our existing cake. I don't have a problem with that. The fact that he's working with who he's working with, he's doing some of the things he's doing, it's still, I'm going to remain skeptical till I see it all play out. You know, you got to look at what happened with Live Golf. That didn't really play out. That fizzled. PGA's intact, stronger than ever. Greg Norman's gone. And where is Live Golf? So I mean, you know, Ness, I'm a businessman, right? I'm going to look, I'm going to read between the lines, and I'm not going to take things at its face, but I'm going to remain open-minded, which is why I'm going there. They asked our team to come and do a show there and cover it from there. So there's dialogue. And maybe he's going to be great for boxing, and maybe not. And I'm going to remain like that until the fat lady sings and I see that this guy has got absolute confirmation that he's going to play well with others. And there's some signs, Ness, that he's not playing well with others. Just no one's talking about it yet.
Oh, do tell, because we see from the outside he's working with PBC. He's working with DAZN. He's worked with Salida. He's worked with Adrian Clark and Fighters First. I mean, he's open. He's working. Eye of the Tiger from Canada. I mean, who is he? He's worked with Top Rank. Who is he not working with? and
Oh,
obviously
no,
he
he's
worked with
working with
you.
everybody. He's working with everybody. I'm just not sure he's working well with everybody. Let's let it play out. It's really early.
So what do you
It's
think of
really
this
early.
potential buyout that's been floating around?
No. First of all, the numbers he threw out there are asinine. I mean, that's not the numbers. So I don't know where he comes up with those numbers. But second of all, do you know how long those deals would take? You're talking 2 years at the minimum to pull that off. You can say that, but the actual execution of something of that magnitude is huge, hugely, and it's going to take a ton of time. And I don't think it's going to play out. I really, if I were going to predict, the UK guys, they've basically said, do what you want, right? I don't think the Americans are going to fall in line like that. I don't think they're going to hand the sport over to them. I think they've worked too hard their whole lives to create something, and the guy just shows up and throws a bunch of money around, and they're just going to hand it over to him. I don't think they will. So now it's a question of, can they get along on their terms, right? If Alalshik wanted to invest in the sport, anybody would say yes. But it sounds like he wants to do more than invest in the sport. It sounds like he wants to control the sport and dictate. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that in the end won't go along. So all I'm saying is just read between the lines. This is going to take time to really play out. At the infancy, no one's going to say no. You want to make some great fights, you want to throw some big money around, that's fine. But whoa, like how will this play out when he's saying, okay, I want to buy all of you guys and you're all going to work for me? Are they really going to do that? I think the two guys in the UK will. I don't think the Americans will. So now how does that end up? How does that play out?
Since you've been a promoter, is a perfect question to ask. How does that even work? Like, how can you buy Top Rank? The fighters are only on contract for an extended amount of time, and they're 1099s anyway, right? Like, if you sell your company, I'm sure there's a loophole where I don't have to go with you. I don't, right? Or how's that work? Can Top Rank sell its company and the fighters are attached?
To some degree, yes. It depends on the contract that's been negotiated. Some people don't agree with that clause. Some people do. Top Rank's got a library. It has a ESPN contract, but that ESPN contract's coming up now. So what are you buying? A library? A limited time with these fighters? How much value do you put on that? You know, is Top Rank making 200 million a year? No, they're not. God bless them. I like the people at Top Rank. I'm not criticizing them right now. I'm just giving you the straight business understanding that I don't even know where he threw those numbers around. 800 million, 900 million. That was Eddie Hearn went to Forbes and said, write an article and say we're all worth this compared to the UFC. And the next thing you know, that was going to, that's unfounded. They should put out their P&L and I'll prove it to you.
Man, us as fight fans, obviously, we hear buyouts, mergers. We think we're singing Kumbaya, you know, but it sounds like you believe the businessmen are going to want to keep their business. But I'm looking at it like Bob's 80-something, 90 years old. He promoted Evel Knievel jumping over the Grand Canyon. He's tired, you know? So, yeah, maybe Todd wants the company, but again, it's not his. This is my baby, so I have issues letting go.
Yeah,
Someone
but
that
you
is
know, it's his
receiving it,
legacy.
say
It's
again?
his legacy. It's his legacy. He's built a fantastic brand. And does he want to just ship it off and have the brand disappear and run by people that he may not have faith in, that they know what they're doing with the business? I mean, does he need the money? No, but now it's about legacy. And so that's hard, man. When you worked your whole life to build something and somebody's just going to roll it into something else and dispense of it, That's a big ask, and I would assume
But
that there
isn't
are.
it for the betterment of the sport, though? You don't think the UFC, as a network now, doing what you're doing, you don't think the UFC model would work in boxing?
Oh, there's no doubt it could be for the betterment of the sport. I was just kind of giving you the practicality of pulling this off. If you're asking me, would one league be better for the sport? 1000%. The sport is broken. This construct doesn't work. It's underachieving at a massive level. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. The bigger picture. So, yeah, the sport needs to improve, and the promoter manager sanctioning body construct is a broken one that won't allow for full potential. Period. End. Now, the question is how to fix that, right? And is the Saudis and the two UK companies acquiring everybody and rolling it into one? What's their plan? I don't know what their plan is, but dude, just if you don't do it right, it's going to be worse. You got to make sure if you're going to make that transition that you have a solid plan, a well-founded plan, something that you've been working on your whole life, not a year sitting up at the treetops. I'm not convinced that anybody could jump into the game. I don't care how smart you are, jump in the game and create an entirely new construct that works. No. So, no, I agree with you. It would be better if everybody was consolidated and all the fighters fought out of one pool and get the best fight the best all the time. And I think there are other things that need to be fixed. And Dana White has the luxury of saying, "Hey, both fighters are fighting for my company, so I only want the fans to win." All of that's important, and boxing needs to get there. The big question is how, and can we afford screw ups along the way? Will that be even more damaging to the sport? So when we do, if we ever make that move, and I'd like to see it happen in my lifetime, it has to happen right. It cannot be done well. So is he the guy to do it with Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren? I have reservations.
Understandable, understandable. I got a couple questions here from the people. I got Ruin 504 says ProBox has a real loyal following amongst hardcore boxing fans. Do you think any expansion of the brand would hurt that?
Not as long as we stay true to the principles that brought that hardcore fan base. What worked for them, right? The evenly matched action fights, the no promoter in it. Like we keep it true, right? Our fights are fast paced, right? Let's keep it moving. Let's go. They want to see fights. They don't want to see ring walks. So that's an example of the little things that we've done where we think we've identified the hardcore fan and what he wants. So we're not going to leave that. We can expand and stay true to those principles.
How difficult do you think it's going to be? Because obviously as the fights get to the championship level, it's a higher pay, and those guys seem less willing to get in the way that you match at ProBox.
You know, it's interesting. I think that there are two types of fighters. There are those who are nervous, anxious, and want to be protected, and their fathers are involved and the managers are involved. And then there's the other type, man. The other type want to go. They don't care. They know if they're going to be champion, they got to beat that guy. So let's do it now. There's two types, Ness. We seem to be able to identify that type that wants to find out what he's got now and has that competitive instinct. So that's what our brand's going to be about. Those are our fighters. They're going to be action fighters. I don't mind boxers. I just want busy boxers. I don't want holding and running and a low punch count. They can box and be very entertaining, but you gotta want to find out. You don't want to hide till you're 20-0 fighting tomato cans, and then you're going to get embarrassed and you're going to lose. So what do you, you're delaying the inevitable. There's too soon for a fighter. I agree with that. And Najee and Blast are a couple of examples of me challenging them, but threading that needle, not going too far, right? But then at a certain point, come on now, you know, you got your man body. It's time to go, right? You've been doing this for years. You've been training for years. Let's do this. Let's see what you got. And there is a right time for it. And so I think that it's refreshing to see that there are a lot of fighters in boxing, given the opportunity, they're going to go after it. And I let them know, I don't care if you lose. Take a loss, I bring you back. Be entertaining. No, they have my word and my promise. And by the way, I stay true to it. You haven't seen me release one guy who lost. I don't do that. As long as he's entertaining. The only guys who got released are guys who are boring. And that's my commitment to the fan. But they know one loss doesn't change, so they'll go and they'll test themselves in tighter matchups. And that's the answer to that question.
I got James Valdez in San Antonio, Texas. Okay. He says, what's your thoughts on Nestor Gibbs' plan of prepaying for possible pay-per-views? So we haven't discussed that, but you do have the platform where on Probox TV, oh man, you even got Boxing Scene. That's something we didn't talk about. That was an amazing purchase, but you do have Boxing Scene. On Boxing Scene, imagine having these hypothetical fights that we want. Like right now, we want to see Tank in a number of fights, right? Let's say Tank Shakur, Tank Devin, Tank Ryan rematch, Tank Pitbull Cruz. On your website, you have these potential matchups, graphic imagery, all this nice jazzy stuff to get our attention, but it's a pre-buy. You know, when I purchased my Adidas Yeezy sneakers, I put my credit card information. If I'm able to, if they have my size, if I win the raffle, then they charge me. Same scenario for me. If Probox TV gets enough people that signed up saying, yeah, Probox, here's my $50, I'll certainly prepay for Tank versus Isaac Cruz. Now you have this data. Why did you purchase this pay-per-view? For Tank, for Isaac. You have their information. You don't get to charge them, but you have a commitment from a potential buyer, which also eliminates all the thievery. Everybody's stealing, right? But these fights that we want, if we can get enough interest beforehand, imagine having 150,000 pre-buys, right? 150,000 people that say, yeah, we want Isaac Cruz versus versus Tank. That's enough to get that fight. The rest, they get on the back end with their pay-per-view buys. But, you know, guarantees aren't that much these days. Top-ranked fighters get bigger guarantees than most pay-per-view fighters. Most pay-per-view fighters are getting $1 million or so guaranteed up front. Everything is coming on the back end with the pay-per-views. But it's just a pre-buy, you know, so that the networks know what we want versus giving us fucking pay-per-views we don't want. We don't want these pay-per-views that you're giving us. At least if you give us the ability to tell us what you want and show us with our wallet, maybe you guys can make the right decisions moving forward, because I love what Turki Alalshik is doing, but that's not a pay-per-view for me. Is it because of the value in the fighters that he has on that card? Absolutely. But the minute they lost Tim Tszyu and Virgil Ortiz, that wasn't even a pay-per-view for me. Like, Crawford is fighting a dude I never heard of. Obviously, I'm a hardcore, so I know him. Big Baby's coming off of a beating. Andy Ruiz got 3 years of inactivity. David Morrell's finally stepping up. Like, what are we talking about? You making us pay for shit we didn't ask for. But if you at least let us tell you what we want, you might get the money that you're looking for versus these ridiculous pay-per-view numbers. I mean, look at the rumors, right? They're saying Tank did 200,000. I hope that's not true. We need a new star.
So where were you 15 minutes ago? Because that was a great point about August 3rd. A great point.
That's the
But
only thing he heard.
right, but I'll tell you that no, Ness, that idea is a great idea, and what you're talking about is a marketplace. You're talking about things that eBay have done and that others are doing, where we're kind of bringing the fighters and the fans closer together, and we're the broker, and we're saying, hey guys, talk to each other, right? If the fans want to get together and put their money together and say, hey, we want you to fight that guy, and we're offering you guys the money. Now, you promoters and managers and all, you can get together and make the event, but we want to dictate what we're going to see, and this is what we're, as a group, we have this buying power, right? Like Costco. We've banded together, and we want to put our money down. We want to dictate what we want to see. And by the way, the boxers will never say no to the fans. They're too vain. As soon as the fans ask, promoters can ask, anybody could ask. If the fans ask directly, the fighters will do what the fans want. They're too vain. So I think it's a great idea. It's a bear to execute. It's a big bear. It's a technology play, a lot of arrangements and details. There's trust. There's going to be escrows and lawyers and guarantees that none of us who are controlling the money run off with it. Right? There's a lot to do there to make that actually play out in practice. So step one is that somebody coalesce the fan base and create a place. That's what a boxing channel, Probox TV, is meant to be. I don't know if we'll pull it off. I have no idea, right? It's a big play. It's an idea. And if it doesn't succeed, I'll be happy I tried. There's no guarantee in that element in anything that you do in business. So you put yourself out there and you may fail. But Probox TV would be an environment that, if we had 3 million hardcore boxing fans in the US, all residing in Probox TV, would we be able to organize everyone to put their money in a deposit for the fights they want to see? Then your idea would work.
And remember, it's not a deposit. They're just putting their credit card. Until you guarantee the fight, they don't get charged. But you have that, amount of people. And again, you were a former promoter, now you're a television network. Is there a fight that you can't make if you have $7,500,000 up front? Is there a fight you can't make?
You're 100% right. So yes, so I see what you're saying. So that nuance of saying, okay, the money's there, but it's not there. You can't touch it until you get it. Yeah, I think that can work. We've got to create that place where all fans can go and do that. And then it's interesting, the pressure that it puts on promoters and fighters. Because
since, again, you have the platform, let me spice this up for you, right? You incentivize, Gary. Like you said, you came on there earlier in the interview and you complained that the pay-per-view was $80. Tell a guy like me, pay up front 50, save 30. I'm the guy that's paying on DAZN versus ESPN, because on ESPN, it's an extra 10. DAZN, you might get $20 off if you're an existing subscriber. These things matter to people. Maybe not in your 20s, but as you get older, you counting your dollars. That matters. You know what I mean? So if you're going to give me an opportunity to pay you up front so that you can get the commitment to make this fight, but I also get a discount. Maybe you can incentivize with a discount. Incentivize with a free fucking shirt. But they don't give us anything, Gary. And I hope when you start doing pay-per-view, you understand this. If you're making me pay for the view, I better fucking keep it. Because if not, I'm going to steal it. That's what boxing fans are doing. You're charging us, and then we can't wake up and see the fight. If I fell asleep because I'm 40 fucking something, I can't watch the fight in the morning because you want me to pay again for something I already paid for. So the model is broken is all we're saying.
You're 100% right. I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that somewhere along the line, you got to get away from it, because what you're paying $80, you're paying for other people who steal it. You are. And it's just sort of, the whole thing is flawed. And the Super Bowl's not pay-per-view. NBA finals were not pay-per-view. Why can't boxing be ad supported? I want to understand that. So you're talking about some nominal contributions from the fans. If Canelo wants 35 million, will 10 million fans contribute $5? But the core of it should be ad supported, like all the other major league sports that are more expensive. But how do you fix that? If no one's willing to do it, now Turkey's not trying to do that. And that's part of my problem. He's wanting to do the same thing, expecting a different result. The only thing he's saying is, come on, man, let's spend even more. If Tank only had 200,000 buys, do you want to tell you why? There's pay-per-view fatigue. Did they all believe, between DAZN and PBC, do they really believe that you can do 10, 15 pay-per-view fights a year and it's not going to start affecting the numbers that people are, it's real money? How much are you going to pay for the sport of
But
boxing when everything else is
last
free?
year we legit got at least 1 month with 2 pay-per-views. It's insane. We're getting a pay-per-view at the rate we're going. We're getting a pay-per-view every month or every other month. It's insane.
I think you're on pace between what the Saudis and DAZN are doing and between what PBC is doing. I think you're on pace for 15 to 20 this year.
Well, PBC is definitely going slow this year. They've only done the Canelo and the Tank. They have nothing. They need to really contact
they did Fundora and thing. That was their first.
Oh, yeah. Fundora.
They're already at 6 months in. And there's going to be more. They got September. They got another Canelo. They'll probably do another Tank. There's going to be more. Crawford left, so Crawford's now over there. But now Crawford's doing his over there. Your Fury, your Usyk. I mean, if we all add it up, it's
no. And AJ's fighting too. I'm sure they're going to charge us for that, because they charged us for the Ngannou fight. That's what I'm saying. They don't know what they're doing. They're charging us for the wrong things. Like Bivol was free versus Better Beef. Had it happened, it was going to be on ESPN free. But the rest of the card you're paying for, it's like, I don't know, man. Look, I don't want to keep you. You know I can talk forever. If there's anything that you want to mention that we haven't brought up, please do.
Look, like I said, we can talk forever. So it's been a good conversation. I just wanted to make sure the fans knew that we're not going tomorrow night. We missed last Wednesday. It's Friday night, June 28th in DC in an arena. Show's going to start at about 5:30. Lamont Roach Senior's No Excuse Promotions. He's going to put all I'm giving him the undercard to mess with. At 8 p.m., we're going to do the main card. And I suggest people download the app, man. The resolution is so much better. It looks so much better. If you have Apple TV, if you have any of the ability to put it on your TV, because we're on all the platforms, watch it through the app. It's such a better resolution and viewing experience than on YouTube. And if you can't, then enjoy it on YouTube. That's for free in both places. And it should be a good night of fights. Look, Lamont is taking his first title defense. So it's not as competitive, I would say, in the matchup. But watch out. Last week we had how many upsets? Liam Parrow beat Matias, right?
3 upsets last week.
Yeah. So I think Fergal's going to come out and fight. I think it's going to be an action fight. I think it's going to be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. But obviously, yes, he's a favorite, Lamont. It's not a 50-50 fight. But I think it'll be fun. And I put, Lester Martinez and Goncora as the co-main. That's going to be the fight of the night.
That's a good fight. Finally, Lester gets a fight. Finally, man.
Yeah. So
Damn. Hopefully
that's
he
going to be a
pans
great
out.
fight. And Lester, for those who don't know him, that kid just at 168, he's all action. He goes and goes and goes. He's fun to watch. And then you've got Dimangani and Telez, which is just going to be a barn burner, right? A banger. That's just going to be pure action. So there's two 10 rounders and a 12. The two 10 rounders will come on about at 9 o'clock, leading into Lamont Roach's fight. I think it'll be fun, and I think it's. If you guys ain't doing anything Friday night, come out and watch the fight,
I got a
and
few more. What
then
did you think of the Blue Nose fight? Because you're the network that happened on your TV.
yeah, I mean, what did I think was going to happen?
No, no, no. The outcome. Did you think that was the right decision?
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
I mean, there's
I
been
th-
some
I thought Blue
weird
Nose pulled it
scores.
off.
There's going to be some weird scores, okay, but Cordoso just kept coming with the volume, and you know Blue Nose fought in spurts, but he didn't carry the rounds. And I think he just wore him down. The volume wore him out, and he stole a lot of rounds by just keep coming and coming and coming. So,
Would you do the
but
rematch?
for
Has
sure,
anyone asked for the rematch?
they haven't. They
What?
haven't. When I say they, Blue Nose hasn't. Um, and I think it's a tough fight for him. Stylistically, Cardoso's a problem. He's big for the weight, and he just keeps coming. He throws 100 punches around, and you better you better come to work because he's going to test your endurance for 10 rounds, 3 minutes a round, and if you don't have it, he's going to beat you up. And those kind of fighters are a nightmare. So. He got caught. The only fight he lost, he got caught in the first round with an uppercut. He got caught cold, and he got knocked out. That kind of slowed his development. But he's a fun, typical Pro Box TV fighter, and he's he's a problem because of that. So
I
give
wanted
me
to
another.
ask about your son and how involved he is, and how long has he loved the sport? And I mean, it's a whole bunch of questions because I'm also super impressed with him. I love that guy. We text often. I had to go through my texts because I didn't remember the fight, but I'm like, what fight was it that I didn't agree? And that's how I found it. But he's also the matchmaker, bro. To be that young, he really, really knows his shit.
Look, first of all, he grew up in it, right? I mean, I think he might have been 8 years old when I started doing this, and I got pictures of him being a little kid with Guzman and Mendez, and he's been around these fighters. And remember, we don't they're in our building. We're involved in their training. So he's been in the ring. He's held the spit bucket and the blood buckets. He's done every job you could imagine in the sport of boxing because we were more involved with our fighters. So that once that's in your blood and you grow up in it, I mean, it's second nature to you. Number one. So yeah, no, and it's fun to watch him. He's 24 years old and he's starting to take charge. Sometimes I have to reel him in a little bit. And he's still got some signs of immaturity where he gets a little bit rambunctious, but no, it's fun when it's a family affair, and it's fun to watch him grow and develop with the sport.
Yeah, nah, he's doing his thing, man, and like he's really hands on. I love it. I love what you guys are doing. We have one more. This is the last one. This came in late from James Benitez. He says, if the DC event is successful, how soon can we see them back?
Well, I think Lamont's probably going to want to be pretty aggressive, and we're a network. We can give him whatever dates we want, whenever we want. So we have total freedom, unlike a lot of networks. But I think as far as stepping to championship boxing on a more regular basis, there's a lot of conversations going on right now. I think that in the new year, we might start to see it more frequently. I think for now, it's going to be sporadic and it's opportunistic. And when it happens, and we pop one here, we pop one there. We might get a small purse bid with the lower weight classes. But as far as us really stepping to it in the typical way that you guys are used to, the fans, I would expect sometime early next year for us to start becoming more aggressive. But again, we're the champions. I don't have them. So I think expect contender level. Expect high level contender fights that I can get a hold of those guys and start putting those on. Expect that first, and then champions will evolve from that. We'll grow into champions in a more aggressive way.
My last one is just if you can answer. See, as us as fight fans, we seem to think like, well, damn, why did Jarrett Hurd fight off TV somewhere in D.C.? Why didn't he just go to Probox? Why did Mark Maxiago fight in California off TV? Why didn't he just go to Probox? Is it a budget issue? Is it PBC just not allowing those named fighters to get active? Why can't? Because some of these guys are going to Mexico to fight off television. Why not Probox where we can see you?
Yeah, I think that first of all, Hurd is scheduled August 7th in Plant City versus Jimmy Kelly. So speak of the devil, right?
Breaking news. There you go. We literally were just talking about Hurd here yesterday. He hadn't fought since 2023, and it was a tune-up.
Yeah. No, he's on August 7th, main
This
event.
is what I'm talking about. Now we're
Yeah.
talking.
Now, and you know what it is? We're slammed. I'm looking at my schedule as we're talking, right? And our fights are all made through September 11th, September 28th, October 8th. I mean, we're made. Our fights are booked 3-4 months out. So what happens sometimes is we get those phone calls, and they're like, "My guy's got to fight now." I'm like, "I got something for you in 3-4 months." So, but everyone you're talking about is called. It just we're full. When we're
Now,
doing 2 shows a month.
to be clear, when some of these guys calls, they're looking to get on your cards. You still are saying that the bigger names that want to put on hometown shows, Probox has unlimited dates, and you can bring the circus to the road, on the road.
Yeah, if they want to go hometown and they want to use the network, we can do as much as we want. If they want me to pay for it, they got to come to me. But if they're saying that they're going to do the hometown and their ticket sales is going to carry it, and they want the production and they want the distribution, man, we can do as many shows as people want to do.
And I know the expansion comes with time, but how soon could we see Probox do something international? Jocasta Valle fights in Costa Rica all the time, always off TV. She's allegedly a draw. She brings big names out there. Could we ever see Probox international? Not necessarily Costa Rica, but just saying, would you televise something internationally, or is just that not capable because obviously the truck can't fly?
No, we've done international, and we are going to go to international. We're doing something in Kazakhstan with Yelyusinov and Jukambayev.
What?
Yeah.
Yelyusinov is my guy. I've watched him spar countless rounds out here in Vegas. So unfortunate. He was the IBO judge. So unfortunate he wasn't able to get active.
Yeah, we're working on it. I will preface that by saying it's not 100%. You've seen him at the facility. We're working on it. We're coming close to terms, and part of it is that I want to take him to Kazakhstan, where he's a star. And then that's going to be a Central Asia time zone, right? But that'll be a Saturday night show in Kazakhstan that'll air at 2 in the afternoon Saturday. So it's Saturday afternoon boxing over here, which I really think will be cool. So, and then we're going to the UK right after Kazakhstan in October. Because we got to start, Ness, we have to expand into those time zones. If we don't go do shows over there and we're not in prime time in those marketplaces, then we're not in those. We're not global. In order to take advantage of our distribution, which is global, we have to go there and do prime time zone shows.
What promoter is bringing you to the UK? Like, because you're the network for this situation, right?
There's a bunch that we're talking to. There's a number of them that are all. So before anything's confirmed, all I can say to you is that there's a whole bunch of them that are. I get calls every day from all over the world asking if we can. ProBox TV will go to that country and work with that local promoter. And my only trepidation is that they can't choose the fights. They can only event coordinate for me. I'm not going to let them. I'm not giving promoters our shows. I will not. We control who fights.
Well, you just said you gave no lim. What is it? No. What is
No excuse. No
You,
excuse.
you did
No,
say you gave them the undercard.
Well, I'll give them the undercard. This is true. I don't mind what they can do whatever they want with the
How many
undercard.
fights does the undercard consist? Because you also said you made the co-main event for that fight, so that's not the undercard.
No, the undercard has got from 5:45 to 8 o'clock, 7:30, 7:45. They're going to get out and clear the ring for the main show. They got about 6 fights. Um, Then we transition, right? And for 8 p.m. on Amazon and on Fubo and on YouTube and on our app, we transition. We do a show open and we start over. And that is going to be Ben Johnson, who just turned pro, is probably the #1 amateur in the country in the last couple of years. We're going to showcase him in the open just to get things warmed up. Then we got Rihanna Rios, who's a Mexican female fighter out of DC, who's going to go up next. She's in a regional title fight. And then we go 10, 10, 12. And the first 10 rounder is Dilmangani.
Wait. When did you start doing girl? I mean, I had a conversation with Daniel, and he made it seem like you guys don't do girls or heavyweights. They got to be special.
Listen, man, you come around to everything eventually. It's all in due time. And this was an opportunity to, from 8 to 9 o'clock to showcase a female fight. So I'm down. We're not totally against it. We just, in the window we have on Wednesday night fights, we wanted to make sure we got our prospects in and we got, our bangers with our contenders in there, or our guys that are trying to get back onto the big stage. So that Wednesday night fights doesn't have room for it. But on a weekend, when we have more time to work with, we throw it in between 8 and 9.
The relationship that you have with Top Rank, do you have that with any other promoter? Is it that well? Because they kind of use you guys as a farming system. Like, we see some of their fighters stay very active. Like, they have dates, but they still got Kelvin Davis fighting with you guys, and then back on ESPN, then back on Probox. They're keeping him active, and some others. Yeah.
Look, I have a lot of respect for Top Rank, and I do for PBC in their own right. And they've had their challenges, but Al Heyman's always landed back on his feet. He's a resourceful man. I got to respect those guys, right? And what they do isn't easy. So I have good relationships with both of them and Golden Boy. The guys in the UK, I really haven't had any purpose to work with them at any time. So we're not really friendly, shall we say, with Matchroom, Queensberry, DAZN. And I guess, the Saudis haven't reached out, probably for that reason. But that's okay. We're cool where we are. But yeah, we got a good relationship with the American promoters.
Final one, I swear. Any West Coast shows?
For sure it's coming. For sure it's coming. We've got a lot of good fighters over there that have fan bases over there. And so we are talking to some casinos over there. We've had a lot of interest from the casinos. So it's going to spread out and it's going to go on the road. There's no doubt. And I think that the facility is going to really be for the non-championship boxing, the first tier, what we do now. As we expand to contender level and championship fights, no, that's going to move around the country. It's going to move around the world, and that's going to be in bigger venues.
Well, Garry, man, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it. Look forward to having you back on, and wish you guys great success, not only with the platform, but on obviously June 28th. Hopefully everything goes well. And more fighters and promoters, you know, start to do this and get you guys to go on the road. I love that Lamont is going back home for his first title defense. I'm a huge advocate of champions winning that belt, going back home where they got all that support. That's the initial support, you know. You got to at least parade that belt one time. So I'm happy for him, and I'm happy to see you guys branching out and doing so much. This is amazing for us as fight fans, so we only wish you success.
I appreciate it, man. I hope to see you there. You coming?
To D.C., no, I have a correspondent. I actually sent the name to Daniel last week to get him approved. I'll be in studio, though. Live fight chat. You know, I'm a workhorse. I would love to do my show from your studio, though, Mr. Jonas. I got a house in Florida. Let me know.
Let's get it done.
I remember I flew out there for that very same conversation. You're a very busy man, but one day.
We will get it done, all in good time. The best things in life take time, that's for sure.
For sure. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Be well.
All right.